Good afternoon. We'll wait for 5 minutes and then we can start the class. Good afternoon. Uh, we can start the class. I hope no more. Have you read the textbook? Have you read the textbook? No reply? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, so we'll start.
No, I didn't win.
I hope you all have textbook with you. Please take the textbook. Today also we are going to deal with some of the literary terms. Just to see if I can type it out. No, it's very difficult to type. I'm just taking a. So I'll just type out. I hope you can see the screen. I'll just type out the words. Last class, we discussed till H. The last word that we discussed was hypothetical question. And now we are moving on to the next set of literary terms, starting with I. I am. Last class, I have told you about I am. Do you remember I am or iambic pentameter? So I am is a metrical foot. Again, I hope you remember what a foot is. I am is a metrical foot with one unstressed syllable. Remember, unstressed syllable is marked by a U, followed by a stressed syllable. I am is an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. This is very important because when we are learning about poetry, when we will be discussing about poetry in the coming courses, this iambic pentameter will repeatedly come, because in English poetry, iambic pentameter is the most common metrical foot. Okay. Then we have idiom. Idiom is expression. Idiom is an expression consisting of one or two words. When you say, if someone died, in order to say to die, we say kick the bucket. The person has kicked the bucket. Or in order to finish your job, you will say clear the decks. So there are certain expressions consisting of one or two words, and that is called idiom. Then illusion. Illusion is a false idea or impression, a deceptive appearance. It's a very false idea. It's an incorrect idea. When you think of something that is not true, that is imaginatory, that is illusion. Next is imagery. Imagery is the use of particular words to create the visual representation. When you read something, when you have a representation, when you think about it, it's imagery, visual representation in our mind, what we think in our mind. For example, when you are reading imagine you are reading a short story or poem. You're reading a poem about a train. A train is running, it's moving towards a countryside. Then what happens? Suddenly you think about a train, right? You think about a train, you will think about a countryside where both sides of the tracks has trees. So that is a visual representation in our mind. That is called imagery. Next is imagism. So remember, I'm just giving you a tip. Whenever you study, if something ends with ism, ISM, see, it ends with ISM. Whenever a word, when you learn English literature, and whenever you see a word ending with ism, it's a movement. It's a movement. Anything that ends with ism, when you study about a particular period, when something ends with an ism, it means movement. This is a tip. Just remember it. It's just a tip. Okay, it is not for the. It's for your better understanding. So imagism is a movement. It is a 20th century movement, early 20th century movement in poetry. It is a 20th century movement in poetry. Okay, what happens here? There is a use of imagery. In this kind of movement, there is a use of precise imagery, clear, sharp language. Some of the famous American imagists, the poets of the imagism is called imagist. American imagists are Ezra Pound, William Carlos Williams, Amy Lowell, and Hilda Doolittle. You will study about imagism when you study about poetry in detail. Okay, okay? Okay. I will talk loudly. I'm audible, right? You can hear me, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
So, ma'am, imagism means the poems will end with the ISM
I can't hear you. Can you repeat it?
Imagism means the words will end with ISM at the end, only in the poems.
No, I'm just saying that is a tip for you to study. It is not here image for imagism. I'm telling you a tip for understanding literature. Whenever you study, whenever you come across, you will be coming across a lot of words ending with ism. Okay. So I'm just giving you a tip. If something ends with ism, that means it's a movement. So imagism. So it is a movement. By ism, you can understand that it is a movement. So imagism is a movement that gives importance to imagery. It is an early 20th century movement in poetry. And major imagist, American imagist includes Ezra Pound, William Carlos Williams, etc. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Cool. Next is, after imagism, next word is internal rhyme. Internal rhyme. Internal rhyme is used in poetry when a rhyme that occurs within a single line of verse. So when there is a single line, in single line, if something is occurring repeatedly or multiple times, an internal phrase is repeating multiply, and that is rhyming words. Okay, rhyme, rhyming words is like last class name what rhyming words are. So when the rhyme occurs within a single line, it is called internal rhyme. Remember end rhyme, last class we discussed about end rhyme. The rhyming words will appear at the end of the line. Remember, if a rhyming words appears at the end of the lines, each line, it is called end rhyme. And internal rhyme is the rhyming word occurring in a single line. Okay. Next is intertextuality. Intertextuality. Intertextuality means, inter means in between, I mean among. So when an idea or a concept or ideology of another text is written into a new text, is called intertextuality. There's a reference. It means reference. There will be reference of another text in a new text. That is intertextuality. For example, you will be learning about T.S. Eliot's Wasteland. The Wasteland is a famous poem by T.S. Eliot. So here, there are a lot of references to religious and mythological text. Okay, there are lots of references to religious and mythological text. So that reference is called intertextuality. Next word is irony. Irony is the use of words in such a way that the intended meaning is something else than the actual word. So the word will have certain meaning, but what it intends is something different. Okay. For example, if I say, oh, you are too early for the next class. You are too early for the next class, in an ironic sense means you are late. See, actually, in the literal sense, it should mean that you are early. But in the ironic sense, it means you are late. That is irony. And irony can be classified into two types, verbal irony and dramatic irony. Irony, you will come across, I hope, if you are continuing in the MA classes, you will come across irony. There are two types of irony, verbal irony and dramatic irony. Verbal irony and dramatic irony. Verbal irony is where when you say something, it means opposite. Okay. And dramatic irony is when it's a dramatic. It happens mainly in drama. What happens is when the audience know that the character knows something that the character does not. That is dramatic irony. And the outcome will be the opposite of what the character expects. That is dramatic irony. Next word is jargon. Jargon is a professional word. See, for example, if you go to a doctor, the terms used by doctor will be it's a different word, right? We won't be able to understand it. Then diagnosis, prognosis, those are medical terms. Or when you go to, when if it is related to judicial field, if it is a lawyer or judge.
Ma'am, please explain dramatic irony.
Dramatic irony. Okay. Dramatic irony, this kind of irony occurs in drama. Okay. Here what happens is the audience knows something that the character does not. The character will be on the stage, but the audience knows more than the character.
Yes, yes.
So as an audience, we will be knowing that this is going to end like this. I already have that like thing. But the character, what he expects won't happen. The opposite will happen. So that is dramatic irony. Okay, jargon is a professional term. Okay, when you go to a doctor, they use certain terms. When you go to a lawyer, they use certain words like injunction, stay order. These are professional terms which the common people won't understand. So jargon is a word associated with a particular profession. Okay, next is juxtaposition. Juxtaposition. Juxtaposition means the act of placing two or more characters, ideas, or situations side by side in order to compare and contrast. See, two things will be maybe two characters or two ideas or two situations. They will be brought together. They will be kept side to side, and there will be comparison. They'll compare and contrast these two. See, there is a novel by Charles Dickens, The Tale of Two Cities. The Tale of Two Cities. See, two cities. So there are two cities. See, comparing and contrasting these two cities. It was the best of time. It was the worst of time. See, comparing. See, so that is juxtaposition. When you bring two things together side by side in order to compare, that is juxtaposition. Next is lampoon. Lampoon is using.
Excuse me, ma'am.
What happened?
Hello, excuse me, ma'am.
No,
can you just explain compare and contrast, ma'am? Difference between compare and contrast.
Yeah. You want to explain that? You want explanation of compare and contrast?
Yes, madam.
Comparing means, how will I say? You have two things. We say, this is good, this is bad. You are comparing.
That is comparison. What is about contrast?
Contrast is we are finding the difference between two things.
Difference between?
I mean, you have two things. You are finding the difference.
Yeah.
That is contrast.
Compare means?
Understood. See, comparing means, okay. I have, for example, I have, you know, Sprite. I have Sprite and I have soda, normal soda. And I am comparing. Sprite has a little more lemon flavor, but the soda is very plain. That is comparing.
Comparison, okay.
Okay, contrast means notable difference. Like, okay, Sprite has, what will I say? If there is, okay, if it is too cold for 2 days. Okay, if it is too cold for 2 days.
Too cold for 2 days.
Very cold. Morning, when you wake up in the morning, it is very cold.
Yeah.
Okay. Then suddenly another day it will be very sunny. So when you say that today it is very sunny, in contrast to the cold we had 2 days. So you are like making a notable difference. You are bringing out a notable difference. Understood?
Okay.
Bringing out a difference between 2 days. If one day is very cold, the other day is very sunny. So in contrast to today is sunny in contrast to the last 2 days. So you are making a notable difference between 2 days. Understood?
Okay.
Okay. So that is compare and contrast. Okay.
Juxtaposition next.
Juxtaposition is
that is only now.
In order to, yeah, that is the word. You are bringing two things or two characters or two ideas together You keep them side by side in order to compare and contrast.
Okay, okay.
Okay, clear?
Okay, okay.
Okay. Next is lampoon. Lampoon is using sarcasm or irony, or you are criticizing someone publicly. You are publicly doing it. You are not doing it in a secret way. Usually, when we say something bad about a person, we will say it in a very secret way. No, we will say to the next person sitting us, do you know he or she is like that, right? But lampoon is saying that publicly. In front of a lot of people, you are criticizing someone. That is lampoon. Next is legend. Legend is a story or narrative that has element of myth and historical facts. When you tell a story about some historical facts or about some public figures, it is called legend. Okay, says no story. Next is limerick. Limerick.
Limerick.
Limerick is a humorous 5-line poem, a comic 5-line poem. It is a 5-line poem. It is very humorous, comic, and nonsensical. It does not make any sense. It does not have any particular meaning. It's a comic thing. That is limerick.
But not it is nonsensical.
Nonsensical, yes.
Nonsensical.
Next is lyric. Lyric is a very short, non-narrative poem. It's a very non-narrative poem. It is used to express a thought or idea. It has certain musical quality. Usually, lyrics began in the earlier times. There's an instrument called lyre. It's something like our veena. It resembles like something like that. It's an instrument. So, this song is sung in accompaniment of a lyre. That is called lyric. Lyre is like a harp. A harp. You can Google it, harp or lyre. Harp or lyre. You can see the instrument. So, lyre, when you sing a song in accompaniment of that particular instrument, it is called lyric. You will come across lyric in the coming classes. Okay, lyric is important. When you study about poetry, you will come across lyric again. Next is malapropism. Malapropism is a term. The term originated from a
non-narrative poem means non-narrative poem. What is the meaning of non-narrative poem?
Non-narrative poem. Okay. Narrative poem means it's about a story. It narrates a story. Okay. Simple terms, it will be a story. You will connect a lot of events and say that it happened like that, it happened like that, then this thing happened. So it is like you are telling about a particular event. Non-narrative is like not a particular event. It's opposite to narrative. It just does not tell any particular event or particular story.
So, ma'am, it will have rhyming words at the end.
It does not narrate an event. You see, non-narrative example is what is art film. Not the commercial film, but the art film.
So, ma'am, it will have rhyming words.
Yeah. It will have all those kind of things, except it is that it does not narrate a story. That is all. For example, narrative. For example, a ballad or a lyric. All these are narrative forms. This tells a story. It tells a story about someone or about something. But non-narrative does not really tell about anything, any story. It just...
Non-narrative means it's not really, no, ma'am.
See, the songs you see in the movies. It is just a song, right? It does not tell the story of anyone. That is non-narrative. But if there is a song about the birth and the life events and death of a particular person, that is narrative.
Yes, ma'am. Understood. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that is non-narrative. Okay, next is malapropism. So there is this play by R.B. Sheridan. I'll just say R.B. Sheridan. This is a dramatist. Okay. Sheridan. So he wrote a play. The name of the play is The Rivals. Okay, The Rivals. The Rivals is a play by R.B. Sheridan. And it has a character called Mrs. Malaprop. Mrs. Malaprop. Okay. So there is a play. In R.B. Sheridan's the play, The Rivals, has a character called Mrs. Malaprop. And this particular term, malapropism, originated from this character. Okay. So it refers to use of inappropriate words. When you use some inappropriate words, it is called malapropism. Does not make any sense. You just randomly utter some inappropriate words. It is called malapropism. Okay, next. Maxim.
Ma'am, please can you give an example of malapropism? Like any inappropriate word?
Wait. So there is a example. I can quote an example from the play itself. Usually malapropism. Example.
It's a non-humorous, no, ma'am.
I am just saying an example. He is the very pineapple of politeness. Pineapple, she subbed in this fruit name for pinnacle. See, in order to say the word pinnacle, you are saying inappropriate word. Pinnacle is a word. So it comes in the sentence. Yes. In order to say pinnacle, they inappropriately say pineapple.
Okay.
See, changing the words. I mean, using inappropriate.
It is because of wrong pronunciation.
Not wrong pronunciation, using wrong words.
Yes. Okay.
Madam,
when you want to say something and use a wrong word, it is called malapropism.
Okay, ma'am. Yes,
ma'am. Inappropriate word or words that are opposite to have a humorous and nonsensical effect.
Okay, that are opposite to have a humorous. No. See, what happens is the character utters a wrong word and they are doing it deliberately. They are not doing it by mistake. They're doing it deliberately, hoping that it will create a comic effect. But it won't.
Non-comic, no, ma'am.
No, they think that it will be humorous, but it is opposite.
Opposite of humorous, no?
Yeah, opposite to have a humorous. See, when if I am saying something and I am changing a word deliberately, and I'll think that it will be a comic for you. It will be nonsensical effect. It will be humorous for you, but it won't.
Yes.
That is, if I say that word, you will find out, this is a mistake. You are saying it wrong. It won't create that humorous effect. That is malapropism.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is maxim. Maxim is a short, simple, memorable line. It's a very short, memorable line or quotation that has an advice. The maxim will have an advice. It is a very short line with an advice. For example, you are never too old to learn. You are never too old to learn. See, it's an advice that you are never too old to learn. So it is an advice, right? For learning, there is no age limit. You can learn whenever, at any age you want. So that is a maxim. It is a short, memorable line, but it has an advice. That is maxim. Next is meiosis. Meiosis is a witty statement. You say that it's a very witty, very comic, not comic, a very witty statement, but that diminishes or belittles someone or something. You will degrade someone. It is a very negative, it creates a negative effect on someone or something. For example, see, there is a wound. There's a big wound. And that big wound is something big, right? But you are belittling someone. You say, oh, scratch. It is like a scratch. Scratch is a little thing. Wound is a big thing, right? When you call a wound a scratch, you are belittling it. You are diminishing that thing. You are diminishing the wound, right? That is meiosis. Next is melodrama. What?
Didn't understand, ma'am. Meiosis. Are we going to show Like, are we trying to show that the scratch is much larger than the wound?
No. See, you will have scratch. Scratch is very small, right? You won't have, in a scratch, there won't be enough blood. It is just
Yes.
like a mark or something. But wound,
Yes.
and then you have a heavy blood loss.
Yes.
That is a big thing. But here, the wound, what they're doing is they are belittling it. They are diminishing the impact. If you say, I got a wound, that means there's a blood. There's blood. Whenever
Yes.
you think about wound, it will be blood and everything, right? But when you say a scratch, it's nothing. Just put some medicine or anything, it will go.
Yes.
So you are belittling it. You are diminishing the impact of that big wound as a very small scratch. If a person is about to die because of a wound and you call it a scratch, it is called meiosis. A witty statement that diminishes something or belittles something.
Ma'am, we are trying to show scratch as a wound. Like, scratch is a very little bit, but we are trying to show that it hurts a lot.
It is, see, that is the word. It diminishes or belittles something. Making
Yes,
it a
ma'am.
very little thing, very small thing.
Yeah, yes,
It
ma'am.
is a huge thing, but you are making it a small thing.
Okay.
That is meiosis.
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Okay. Next is melodrama. Melodrama is a kind of drama which has an exciting events, very exaggerated characters, very sensational and romantic topics that appeal to the emotions of ordinary audience. For ordinary audience, no. For common people like us, we go watch a movie. We don't expect to be a big action or what big action, very what do you call tragic or very comic. You want a melodrama. You want a spice of life.
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
everything. You want romance.
Yes.
You want songs. You want exciting events, chasing, running, fighting, all those things, right? You expect a mixture of all these spices. That is melodrama. Melodrama contains all these elements of exciting events, exaggerated characters, sensational and romantic topics that appeals to the common people. That is melodrama. Let me give you an example. All of you are Telugu?
No, ma'am.
Yes,
No,
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Only some are there.
Some
No,
are yes,
ma'am.
some are
Only
not.
some people are there.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
then you might be
Yeah, yeah.
all of you are familiar with Hindi movies. Kabhi
Yes,
Khushi
ma'am.
Kabhi Gum. Kabhi
Yes,
Khushi
ma'am.
Kabhi Gum.
Yeah.
Dil
Yes,
Wale
ma'am.
Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. All
Yeah,
these are
ma'am. Yeah.
melodramatic movies.
Yes.
Okay, these are melodramatic. It has all these elements
Yes.
which appeal to emotions of ordinary people. Okay, understood.
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Okay. Next is memoir.
Ordinary people
Memoir
only
is a
have.
narrative account based on a person. Yes, what? Hello?
Okay,
Said
okay, ma'am.
something? Next is memoir. Memoir is a narrative account of a personal experience. See, you have autobiographies and stuff. No, when there's an autobiography, it is a memoir. You are recording the personal experience, or we are focusing on a particular event in life or incident in a person's life. Okay, that is called memoir. Memoir is not much different from autobiography. It is almost similar to autobiography. You will be focusing on something. You write about your entire life. It's a personal experience. Accounting of personal experience is called memoir. Next is metaphor. Metaphor, you will come across again. It's an important term. It's a figure of speech. Remember, figure of speech we discussed last class. It is a device. So figure of speech is a poetic device, and metaphor is an example of a figure of speech. Here, you what do you say? Describe a person or a thing with something else. You describe two different things. You're what you say, you finding similar characteristics between two different things. That is metaphor. But metaphor is different. There's another, I'll just say it here anyway. We will be discussing there. Simile. Yeah. Simile is another poetic device. It is also comparing or finding comparison between two different things. Metaphor and simile both are comparing two things. But in simile, you use words like, as in order to compare. But metaphor, you don't use anything like this. I'll give you an example. My love is like, this is a famous line from a poem, okay? My love was like a red rose. So, can you tell me, is it simile or metaphor?
It is simile.
Simile, yes. See, here there is the use of word like.
Yes.
See, like. So, it is, my love is compared to a red rose. Here is a comparison. Love is compared to a red rose.
Yes.
So, when I say my love is like a red rose, it is a simile. Comparing my love to a red rose. My love is a red rose. Or red rose. See, this is metaphor. See, there is no comparing words like, as.
Yes.
Directly saying as, my love is red rose. But we know that my love is comparing to a red rose, right? That is metaphor. It is a comparison without any particular comparing words. Okay, understood. That is metaphor. Metaphor is a description of a person or a thing where you are comparing it with another thing. Comparing.
In this example is given in the poem The Sun Rising. John Donne calls the sun a fool, which is a metaphor.
Sun and fool. See, busty old fool, unruly sun. See, sun is compared to a fool.
Oh, okay.
See, busty old fool, unruly sun. Sun is compared to a fool. Understood?
How
Poem by John Donne. Then there is another.
Why he is calling sun as a fool?
Yeah, sun as a fool. Is sun fool? Is sun a fool?
How, madam? How it is, madam?
It's poem. It's poem. Poem, you can do whatever you want. When you write a poem, you can compare anything to anything. Last class, I told you, two lovers are compared to the compass. The two legs of a compass.
Yeah.
See, like you can compare anything with anything. That is not a matter. Poem is all about imaginary things, no. Here he is comparing sun to a fool.
And there is another poem they are comparing window with the curtains.
No. It's a line. See, busty old fool, unruly sun. Why does thus through windows and through curtains call on us? So the meaning of the poem is, he is calling sun a fool, and why are you doing this? See, why does so? That means, why are you doing this? You are calling us through the windows. See, in the morning when you wake up, the sunrise will come through the window, right? Window through the curtains, the sunrise will come inside. It's an imagery. See, the sunrise are coming through the curtains and windows and falling on you. So then you will wake up. It's very sunny, right?
Yes.
So he is telling that the sun is calling you in the morning. Through the windows and through the curtains, the sun is calling you in the morning in order to wake you up. So what happens? If you sleep, your friends will come and wake you up. You will tell that, go, I don't want to wake up. Are you a fool to call me in the morning? Yeah, that is what he's saying. Sun is a fool. Are you a fool to come and call me through the windows? So that is a poem. Understood?
Yes, ma'am, understood.
Okay, next, there is another poem by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the dark. See, tiger is burning bright. He is comparing tiger to a sun. Because you know the color of the tiger, right? It is orange with black stripes, right? It's so bright. So it's like you are burning bright. It's like a sun. So that is metaphor. Oh, we are still in Chalo, let's move on. Clear, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, clear.
Yes. Next is meter. Next is meter. Meter is a unit of rhyme in poetry. In a poetry, I am telling you like lots of times, meter. Meter is a unit of rhyme in poetry. It has different feats with regular pattern of stressed and unstressed syllable. There are mainly 5 basic meters in English poetry. One is iambic. Remember iambic? One is iambic meter. The other is trochaic meter. The other one is spondaic meter. The other one is anapestic meter and dactylic meter. Remember dactyl we talked in the last class. Dactylic we talked in the last class. This is an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. This is a stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable. Next, spondaic. Oh, sorry, I missed iambic. U-I. /U. Spondaic is both unstressed, both stressed syllable. Anapestic is unstressed, stressed. Dactylic, stressed, unstressed. I am writing /U because I already told you how to represent unstressed and stressed syllable. Unstressed syllable is represented as a U and stressed syllable is represented by a slash. So iambic is the unstressed syllable follow. When in a line you find the unstressed syllable first, then a stressed syllable, it is iambic. When it is stressed, unstressed, it is trochaic. When it is too stressed, it is spondaic. Anapestic is unstressed, stressed. Dactylic is stressed, unstressed. Just by heart this. You can't do anything else other than by hearting this. Just write it in the notebook. Just make a column or something and by heart it. Okay. There is no option. There is no easy way to learn this. You have to by heart it.
Dactylic meter is stressed, unstressed, and unstressed.
Oh, sorry. My mistake. Stressed, unstressed.
It's a mistake.
It is the opposite of anapestic.
Yeah.
You can compare it and study. Iamb and trochaic you can study together. Anapestic and dactyl you can study together. Okay, next moving on, metonymy. Metonymy also you will come across. This is again another poetic figure of speech. Figure of speech used in poem. Here not in poem, figure of speech. Here you use a word or phrase in order to substitute a concept. In order to attribute, for its attribute or concept, you use another word. For example, I say, this is a very famous line for metonymy. The pen is mightier than the sword. Sword. Here, you say that the pen is mightier. Mightier means so much good or so much bigger, so much great. Here say the pen is greater or mightier than a sword. See, the pen here and the sword here are metonymy. Do you know what the pen represents? Writing.
Yes, it stands for writing.
Writing, yeah. Sword stands for fighting.
It is for fighting and power.
So rather than fighting, it is better to write. Right. It means a writer is better than a military power. Something like that. You don't always need a sword. You don't always need to fight with people. You can also make things better through writing also. That is this means. So metonymy is a figure of speech in which a word or a phrase is substituted for a concept. That is metonymy. Understood? So next is monologue. Remember dramatic monologue, last class we discussed. Monologue is used in a play, especially used in a play where the speaker will be alone and that speaker will reveal his thoughts to the audience or to any other character. So that is a mono. Mono means single. A single person is making the conversation. The single person is talking. There are two types of monologue. One is interior monologue and the other one is dramatic monologue. Dramatic monologue we discussed in the last class. Interior monologue also we discussed in the last class. No? Interior monologue. Yes, interior monologue is used in novels, plays, movies, where characters express their thoughts and the audience understands what is going inside the character. Whereas dramatic monologue is the character speaks to a silent listener. There will be a listener on listener. We know that there is a listener, but that listener is a silent listener. That person does not, we are not shown. We cannot see that person. That is dramatic monologue. Next is motif. Motif is an object or an idea that is
Ma'am, please
repeatedly
explain
used.
interior and dramatic once again.
Interior monologue is used, it means it is interior. I mean, interior means inside. It is the inner thoughts of a character. Okay. So when you go see a movie, sometimes you will see the thoughts of the characters described. The person won't be talking, but there is a background voice you can hear.
Yes, yes.
See, when a character looks at something, the character will be sitting silent without talking anything, but you can hear the voice of someone saying that,
Yes,
oh, this
yes.
will happen like that. You might have seen that in the movies. No, that is an example of
Yes,
interior
ma'am.
monologue, because the audience understands what is happening. Audience are given what is going inside the mind of the character, but they are not actually speaking.
Yes.
That is interior monologue. Okay. It happens in plays, novels also. And when it is dramatic monologue, the person is actually speaking. Okay. The character
Okay.
is speaking to a listener, but that listener is a silent listener. It is monologue. The other person won't talk back. Okay. It is the
Yes.
character is actually speaking to someone. That is dramatic monologue. Understand?
Ma'am, in interior monologue, we
What?
will understand by ourselves automatically, like who is a bad
No, no,
person in this. But in dramatic monologues, they will show themselves as they are bad persons by their utterances.
Wait. When you see something, if the character comes and talks, says that I have been to this place and I saw this beautiful beautiful girl. I saw this beautiful girl. She was walking in the in the shore with chapels on her hand. She's just talking, and I talked to her. So he is narrating. He is talking. He's actually speaking to someone,
Yes.
but that someone is not shown. We don't know who that. We know that someone, but
Yeah.
that someone does not talk back, or that someone is a silent listener. Is a silent person. It is
Yes.
an assumed person. Okay, that is dramatic monologue. Interior monologue, the person won't be talking, but the internal workings of the mind is described through the words.
Yes.
Understood?
Good. Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Next is motive. Oops, sorry. Motive is an object or idea that repeatedly come in literary works. It can be an image, it can be a word, it can be an idea which has a symbolic meaning or contributes to the development of a theme. For example, uh, when you read a novel, uh, each novel has its motif. It is given in the text, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. The childhood is the motif in the novel, because the novel narrates about childhood. It has a symbolic meaning. Okay, it's an object or an idea that is repeatedly used. It has a symbolic meaning. For example, in symbol terms, when you see a rose, when you see a red rose, what do you think about first? It's a romantic symbol, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
Love, symbol of love. So that flower is a motif.
Yes, ma'am.
That flower is a motif. Or when you see a white flag or a white pigeon, someone is flying a white pigeon. What do you think?
White pigeon
Peace.
means peace will come into our mind.
Peace. Yeah, peace.
Yes.
So the idea or concept is there, and you use something to represent an idea. That is motif. It has a symbolic meaning. That kind of meaning is called symbolic meaning.
Yes, ma'am, understood.
Okay. Next is myth. Myth is a story of a traditional or legendary character. It's about a legendary character or a hero. There will be events. It can be factual or historical evidence. See, basically about God, goddesses, demigods, superhumans, religious riots, all these. That's are myths. Myths are stories that are very traditional. It's legendary. It concerns to a great hero or an event. It can be factual or historical. It can be imaginative also. For example,
Yes, ma'am.
Ramayana and Mahabharata are examples of myths. There are lots of mythical events in the story,
Yes, ma'am.
Then creation of the Genesis in Bible, story of Prometheus in Greek mythology. All these are myths about a hero or an event. Mahabharata is about the Mahabharata
Rama.
Yuddha, war.
Between
That
Kauravas and
discussed about
Pandavas.
the event. Fight between Pandavas and who else?
Kauravas and Pandavas.
Kauravas and Pandavas. So that is a myth. Or when you talk about a god, a goddesses, all these are myths. Okay. Next is naturalism. See again, naturalism. What it will be? It will be a movement, right?
Yeah.
So this is a 19th century movement in literature, art and film, etc. 19th century movement which believes the idea that environment and the natural world around us determine and govern human nature. See, naturalism is a 19th century movement, and they believe that human characteristic features, what are us, what we are determined and governed by the nature. Nature determines about the human beings. Nature determines how humans behave. Nature determines how the human characters are formed. That is naturalism. So naturalist believes that it is the nature or environment that determines human nature. And this naturalism is an outcome of Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection, the survival of the fittest. Know that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the naturalism. I am not going into scientific examples. Next is Nemesis. Nemesis is a kind of a opposite person. I mean, what you call an enemy, kind of an enemy person. A person or even a situation that brings a downfall. Downfall means the fall of a person. Destroys a person. It can be a person, it can be event, it can be a situation that brings downfall of a person. That is called nemesis. You say karma, right? You can't escape your own deeds. It's karma. Karma itself is a nemesis, man. So now I'm saying, you cannot escape from your own deeds. You will suffer for what you have done. That is nemesis. It can be a person. Sometimes
means good characters will be rewarded and bad characters will good characters will get the rewards and the bad character will get punishment.
Yeah. But usually if a person has a downfall, that person will have a nemesis. It can be a person who destroys. See, for example, we have a villain character. Imagine we have a villain character. Yes. That person has done a lot of bad things. Ultimately, what happens? That person has a downfall. That person either lose everything or die, whatever happens. It happens because of a person. That person will be our hero.
Yes.
Okay. So, the villain's nemesis is the hero. Hero will also face a downfall because of the villain also. They are nemesis to each other.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next is neologism. Again, ism.
Neologism.
Again, it is a movement.
It's a movement where what happens is it creates new expressions used in speaking and writing. sometimes it will be old word, sometimes it is a new word. It is coinage of new words. For example, Twitter is an example of neologism. Geoffrey Chaucer has used the word Twitter long ago. It is an onomatopoeic word. We have to go fast because we are running out of time. I haven't completed one chapter. Novella. Novella is a prose fiction. It is longer than a short story, but shorter than a novel. It falls in between short story and novel. Novel is big. Short story is small. Novella falls in between this. It is longer than a short story, but it is not that much full length of a novel. It is shorter than a novel. That is novella. Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and Sea is an example of novella. Next is objective correlative. Objective correlative. Objective correlative is a term used and popularized by T.S. Eliot. When you study about literary criticism, you will come across objective correlative. It refers to an object in a narrative that serves a symbolic purpose. Objective correlative is a use, it refers to an object which has a symbolic purpose. The object is used to refer or reinforce the theme. This is also done by using an object, they use certain objects, and through these objects they are trying to convey something. They are trying to convey a meaning of the object, symbolic use.
Ma'am, any example?
It evoke an emotional response from the reader also. Example, data. Check.
Sometimes it occurs, ma'am.
Example, I'm just thinking. Wait a second. Have you read Macbeth? No, right? Macbeth, for example, I will tell an example. I will tell example, don't use it in the exam, okay? I'll just say something to help you. I'm thinking about a movie so that I can explain. This movie, Ravan, about the Robert.
Yes.
What, ma'am?
See, Ravan, Shah Rukh Khan ka movie. You might have seen it.
Robots will be there. Yes, ma'am.
Robots will be there. Yeah, I'm just giving an example. So robot is an object.
Yes.
So the story is narrated through the object, and all these fight happens, all these things happens. So they are trying to convey a meaning. That technology.
Madam, here it is a reader, no, ma'am.
Yes.
Wait, the over dependence on technology is not good.
Madam, here it is a reader's feeling, no, ma'am.
Reader's response. See, emotional response. There's an emotional response from the reader. See, I am sitting and watching Ravan. I'm just saying, I am sitting and watching Ravan. All these robots, they are destroying the entire world. And you will sit there and watch. You will simply sit, watch, and go or what? You will think about it. No, you will have an emotional response. You will think, oh, if I am doing, if so much technological advancement happens, these all things might happen. What will happen to my life? What will happen? My world will be destroyed. My friends will be killed. All these emotional response having from your part, right?
Yes.
Sometimes while reading some novels also, we can
lots of novels has this thing. Novels are best examples of objective correlate. Whenever you read a novel, if you find an object, we will create an emotional response. We will feel sometimes sad.
Sometimes we will try to correlate that with our own life.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, that is objective correlative. Clear?
It can be related, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is octave. Octave is a 8-line form. octave. Octave means 8 line. It is actually originated from the Greek term octavio. I don't know, you don't need that. So there is a so I will say that here itself, so I don't have to tell that. Petrarch, there's a person called Petrarch. And what Petrarch did is, Petrarch found a sonnet form called Petrarchian sonnet. Sonnet is a 14-line poem. Okay. Sonnet is a 14-line poem. And Petrarchian sonnet is divided into an octave and a sestet. So octave is what? 8 lines. Octave is 8 lines. Then how many lines will be a sestet? Will be
6 lines.
6 lines, yes. Anyway, it is 14. So 8 plus 6 is 14.
It is 14.
So remember, sestet is 6 lines, octave is 8 lines.
8 lines.
Okay. That is octave. Octave is 8-line form. Next is ode. Ode is another poetic form, okay. Here it is a lyric poem. It is used to address an object or a thing. We praise something. We address a thing or a object. For example, P.B. Shelley's Ode to the West Wind is a famous ode. Ode to the West Wind. Here what the poet does is, the poet is talking about the wind, west wind. He's praising about the west wind, where the west wind goes, what the west wind does. Okay, next, just another example. John Keats' Ode on a Grecian urn. Urn is a bowl kind of stuff, bottle kind of bowl. So he's talking about a urn. And there is another poem, Ode to a Nightingale. Nightingale is a bird. So that is a poem addressed to the bird, that nightingale. So ode is an address. It's often an address to a thing or an object. That is ode. Next is omniscient narrator.
Omniscient
narrator. It is a narrator. Okay. It is a voice of a third person. Voice of a third person. And that person knows everything. That person knows the feelings and thoughts of every characters in the story. We won't be seeing. Omniscient means we can't see that person. When you watch us, when you read a novel, or when you watch it's a third person narrative. There is no I. There
Invisible,
is no he or she. Invisible, yes. It's an invisible narrator. I am giving examples of films because you will be familiar more with films, right? When you watch a film, there will be a description. Once upon a time in a rural village, there lived our hero, and he, like that, they'll describe about the hero. That is an omniscient narrator. We are not seeing that person, but we are hearing that narration. That is omniscient narrator.
One author is also best example, no?
Yeah. Author is but actually omniscient narrator is there inside the story. Author is outside the story, no?
Author is outside the story. Yeah.
Author is not a character in the story. But this narrator is there in the story, but he is invisible.
Invisible.
Next is onomatopoeia. We pronounce it as onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. It is a word whose sound suggests its meaning. Sounding words. The sound of the particular word. You have another class, no? You have another class at 2:30, right?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. We have other class from 3:30. 4:30. 4 o'clock to 5.
4
yes, 4 o'clock to 5.
4
o'clock.
We have it.
Yes,
another class only at 4.
Yes, ma'am.
So can I take half an hour?
Yes, ma'am. You can take.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll take class for another half an hour. Okay, fine. So,
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Next is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a sounding word. Also, we describe a word with its sound. For example, the buzz of the bee. Buzz is a sound made by the bee, right? But we are using the word buzz. The sound is describing hiss of the snake. The snake sound is like, right?
Yes,
so
ma'am.
So onomatopoeia is a word whose sound suggests its meaning. The sound suggests its meaning. Okay. Next is overstatement. Overstatement. Okay. Overstatement is. Oh yeah. What happened? What happened?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. Overstatement is an act of saying something very profoundly and deeply to make it appear more serious. You say something very seriously. You are saying something you are going in depth of the thing and saying, oh, it is like that. And like you are making it a big thing. You are making it more sound more serious. That is overstatement. You make a statement over deep or over the normal sense. Either you make it a more comic or over you make it a more serious.
Hyping something.
Than it is. Example.
Hyping something.
Sometimes it is also introduced may appear in comic, no?
Yeah, it will end in comic sometimes. You say, when you see advertisement, you say that a classic piece of advertisement. Classic itself means it's a very perfect. It has all those elements. It might not be. It might be a good advertisement. You say that it's a classic piece of advertisement. You say it as something so good. It might not be actually. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Or you say you said you bought a fish. Imagine you bought a fish from the market and you say that you should have seen the fish I caught. It was as big as my leg. Will there be a fish as big as your leg?
No.
It will be a slightly normal fish, but you will exaggerate. You will look like it's something so huge. That is overstatement. Yes. Okay.
We want to add more value to it.
Yeah, you will make it something sound like a big,
more serious,
yes. Normal, like more like no. It will have something, some kind of like you make it more of what it is actually. Next is
Yes, ma'am, understood.
What?
Yes, ma'am, understood. I will say.
Next is oxymoron. Oxymoron is two opposite ideas are joined together. That is oxymoron. When you combine together two opposite ideas. See the text you have, the sound of silence. This sound and silence are opposite meanings, right? Does silence has any sound?
No, sound of silence.
No sound.
It's very nice, ma'am.
No sound. So these two opposite words. Sound and silence are opposite words. When you bring two opposite words together, it is called oxymoron. Clear?
It has very deep meaning, no, ma'am? The sound of silence.
Yeah, it has very has a deep meaning. Of course, it has deep meaning. Another example, if you want.
It's a feeling, no, ma'am.
It's what?
Just it's feeling, I think.
Yeah. Another, the old news. Do you know the meaning of news is something new? Okay, something new. News is something new. Old news is old and new are opposite, right? That is an oxymoron. Then I'm just giving an examples. Deafening silence. Can the silence be deafening? Deafening means deaf. You can't hear.
Yes.
Deafening silence. Organized chaos. Chaos means everything is so messed up. So so much messed up thing missed. Like it's kind of a
confusion.
Complicated, confused. Yeah, confusion be organized? No, right? That's the opposite meanings. So these are examples of oxymoron. Next is palindrome. Palindrome is actually very interesting. See, when you write a word in the exact reverse order, it will be the same word. Okay. For example, see, I am writing a word radar. Can you spell it reverse, me?
Radar. It will be the same.
I'm writing it in reverse order. Okay, R-A-D-A-R.
Same
when you
radar.
Write it in the reverse order, it will be the same.
Order.
Same.
Okay, I will say another word, madam. Tell me in reverse order. M.
Madam, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Madam. Okay. So this is palindrome. Palindrome is a word or a sentence. When you write it in reverse order, it will be
मेरा मुक्तदर का है क्योंकि नए बन के आए बट मेरे पास हमारे पास ही रखे हुए थे.
You're telling to me?
No, ma'am, she's talking in her home, I think.
Oh, I was like, what is he suddenly saying Hindi to me? Then and if you want a sentence, I don't know. No, we'll just move on because we don't have time. You understood palindrome now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, palindrome
Yes, ma'am,
is when you
understood.
write.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, when you write the word in the reverse order, it will be same. Next is parable. Parable is a story, short story. Wait a second. Other class is there. You have other class now.
कोने में कर लेते ठहरे हुए तो क्या हुआ बोल के देख रही हूँ.
Do you have?
Parable.
Someone tell me who this person who's talking.
हाँ, Xerox लेके क्या उन्हें original नहीं है अपने पास.
It is Samia, ma'am.
Yeah, I muted her.
अरे
No?
mute करके बात करो जी.
I muted her. Do you have another class now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, fine. Okay, someone said.
We have at 4 o'clock.
No, I muted some. It's okay, fine. So parable.
Yes, ma'am.
Parable is a short story with a moral. Parable is a short story with a moral or spiritual lesson. You will usually found in religious books. In Bible, you have stories of Good Samaritan, prodigal son. These are examples of parable. Aesop's fables. These are parables. Parables are short stories with morals. Short stories. Do you have history? Oh, I will leave you at 3. Don't worry. I'll leave you at 3. I will just take 10 more minutes and I will leave you. So parable is a short story with a moral. Okay.
Nice. It also known as spiritual, ma'am.
Yeah, it's
spiritual
stories, short stories, spiritual. Yeah, it's related to religion, religious books. It comes in religious books like Bible, Quran,
Ramayana, Mahabharata.
Okay, Ramayana, Bharata. Okay, well, this comes in the religious scriptures often. These are stories with moral or spiritual lesson.
Okay, ma'am.
Next is paradox. Paradox is a self-contradictory statement. Paradox is a self-contradictory statement. For example, there is this famous line from George Orwell's Animal Farm. All animals are equal. See, I said a statement. All animals are equal. Okay.
But some are more equal.
Some are more equal than others. See, I am contradicting what I am saying. I'm saying the opposite of what I am saying. I'm saying all animals are equal, and at the next sentence I'm saying some are more equal than others. That means it is not equal, right? Some are more equal means it is not equal.
Yes.
So that's the paradox. Self-contradictory. You say one thing in one sentence, and in the next sentence you are contradicted. Contradictory means saying the exact opposite. That is paradox. Next is paralypsis. Paralypsis is a type of irony. Okay, it's a type of irony in which the writer or speaker emphasize something. They give emphasis to something while claiming to say nothing or very little about it. They go emphasize something and they don't talk about it. Okay. See, for example, here is a example in the textbook. It is not that I care whether you bring a cat to live with us, but I am allergic. He's like, I don't care if you bring a cat to the home, but I am allergic. See, he's emphasizing, okay, you do whatever you like, but I am allergic to a cat. So the speaker is supposed to say that he does not care if the cat is brought home. He does not care if it is a cat, dog, whatever you bring, I don't care. But he clearly states that he is allergic to it. So that means, if I say I am allergic to it, it means that I don't
agreeing
want
and
the cat
denying
in my
at
house.
the same time.
Yeah. So that person actually doesn't want the cat in the room because he is allergic and he does not want that cat. But he does not want to say directly that I don't want a cat. He says that I don't care what you do,
It is
but I
denoting
am
indirect.
allergic. Yeah, indirectly. That is paralepsis. It's irony. It's irony, actually.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
He's saying that he's giving opportunity. You bring a cat. It's your thing, but I am allergic. I don't want a cat. That is paralepsis. Next is parenthesis. Parenthesis is a clause, a phrase, or a word which is usually inserted into a passage which is already grammatically complete. It means short forms. When you say, very good example, I will say, I am studying in Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. It is already grammatically complete. And in bracket, you write BRAOU. That is parenthesis. You insert into a passage which is already complete. Yeah, you give an you're giving an explanation or amplification with brackets. When you write inside brackets, it is parenthesis. Parenthesis always written inside brackets. Okay. You are giving more explanation. The next is parody. Parody. Parody is
it implies
a deliberate
amplification,
exaggeration or imitation. It is an imitation or exaggeration in order to produce a comic effect. There were parody songs. You might be familiar, no? Parody songs. There will be a proper good song, you make a parody of it. There's a good film, you make a parody of it. There's a good novel, you make a parody of it.
Example, ma'am.
You might be hearing songs every day. For example, it comes to a comment in the book, Don Quixote is a parody of romance written in his days that you have to read. Novel, so you have to read. Story, you have to read.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of parody?
Parody is imitating or making a comic effect of something. Produce a comic effect of something.
Comedy, ma'am. Comedy, like that.
Yeah. Songs and all, no, there will be good songs, you make parody. There will be good movies, you make parody.
Making joke of those good.
Yeah, you're mocking, you're making fun of some work.
Yeah.
You're making a comical imitation. You're making a comical imitation of something.
Is Don Quixote a novel, ma'am?
Yeah, it's a novel. It's a very huge novel. Very difficult to read. Next is, we don't have time, paranomasia. Paranomasia is similar to pun, using words to make a ironic statement. It is used to make it's used to represent characters, demonstrate characters' true witness. In order to get a comic effect. See, your children need your presence more than your presence. So it is not your presence that the children want, it is your presence. See, it is they are giving play of words. Through the words, they are making something. They're trying to say something through comic effect. Next is parrhesia. Parrhesia is saying something very boldly. He's saying something very boldly. Okay. Very freely, very truthfully. It's a free speech. You say something very boldly is parrhesia. For example, I don't want marriage. So it is very difficult to go to your family and say that I don't want marriage. They'll kill you. Especially in our society.
Yes.
But if you go there and say strong and say that to your parents that I don't want to get married. I want to study. You're saying something very boldly and freely. That is example of parrhesia. God, what am I saying? That is example of parrhesia. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is fetish. Fetish. Fetish is an imitation of another writer or another writer's book. You are respecting someone in order to give an honor. For example, you might have seen if some, for example, some people dies, some famous musicians or writers or filmmakers die. You make a tribute to them.
Yes,
you make a tribute. Yeah, that imitation is called fetish. As an example. Okay, that is fetish. That's the best I can explain. So when KK died, there will be like lots of YouTube groups and all. They make a tribute to KK. That is an example of fetish. Next is pathetic fallacy. Pathetic fallacy are emotions or actions attributed to non-human things. When you attribute human qualities to non-human things, it is called pathetic fallacy. Okay. For example, I wandered lonely as a cloud. Cloud is a non-human thing. And you are giving emotions to clouds. Lonely. The cloud is so lonely. I am wandering just like the cloud, and cloud is very lonely. You are giving non-human objects certain emotions. That is pathetic fallacy. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is pathos. Pathos is a method of convincing people with arguments. Then they will have an emotional response. So when you read a poem, when you say a lot of words like grave, nightmare, caged, all these words are used, then you will feel all those emotions. That is called pathos. Convincing people by evoking their emotion. I think I won't be able to finish this chapter. Yeah, class started. You want to go? Someone. Please. Next is pedantic. Pedantic is an excessive concern with correctness. If someone is so concerned with precision and correctness, it is called pedantic. There will be some people in your life, when you make a mistake, they will say that this is mistake. You are not supposed to do this. You are supposed to do that. People who corrects you always. People are so concerned with correctness. People want everything to be correct. That is pedantic. Next is pentameter. Penta means 5. It is a 5 strong metrical food. A line with 5 metrical food. That is pentameter. 5. Next is periphrasis. Periphrasis. Periphrasis is a roundabout way of saying something. Rather than saying it directly, you use a long sentences, excessive words. Roundabout way of saying something. Next is persona. Persona is mainly used in poetry. It means a voice or the character represents the thoughts of the writer. The character, they are the mouthpiece of the writer. The writer wants to say something, they say through the voice of the characters. Okay, that is persona. Next is personification. Personification is giving human characteristic feelings, human emotions to objects and animals. Okay. You are giving human qualities to, or feelings or emotions to objects or animals, making them, giving them human ability. That is personification. Next is plot. Plot is the events in a story. When there is a story, there are lots of events. When you arrange them in a logical order, it is called a plot. The plot will have an introduction, the beginning of the story. Then there will be a rising action. The conflict happens. Then there will be a climax. There will be a falling action. There will be a conclusion or denouement. That is plot. Plot has 5. Basically, it's divided into 5 parts. Introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion. That is plot. Next is poetic justice. It's not that important. Poetic justice means it is a belief that literature must have some moral lesson. Poetic justice is a belief that it's the characteristic feature that all literature should have some moral qualities. It should educate morally. They should give a moral lesson to the readers. That is poetic justice. Next is poetic license. Tell me when you want to go, okay? Poetic license. Poetic license is the liberty or right taken by writers. It is the right or liberty taken by writers to deviate from the forms. There will be a normal established use of language and style. But when the writers deviate from it, writers, they cut it and they make it their own rules. It is called poetic license. Next is Next is point of view.
Ma'am, poetic license once again.
Poetic license is the liberty taken by writers. There will be an established rule. There will be established way of writing, already established by people. But some writers, what they do is they deviate from it. They discard it and they create their own rules. They create their
The
own
style of writing will be different.
rules.
Yeah,
The
okay.
style of writing will be different. They break the rules. That is called poetic license. Next is point of view. Point of view is the angle of the story. The story is narrated from different angles. That is called point of view. Okay. There is first person point of view. First person is I or we. I am going to narrate a story. I saw a person. We were excited to meet a person. Like that, first person. When the story is narrated from the first person, I or we. Then second person is you. Sorry, second person is you. You say that you went through that way, and you see, when you read a novel, you will find these, like this described through you, addressing you. That is second person. Third person is using he, she, it. The character, like he is frustrated, he went there, or she is very beautiful. It does not happen. Like there's a third person. And when you say name, for example, we have a character. Raju was moving along, and Raju saw a tiger. So when you represent, and then he ran away when he saw the tiger. Those are third person. Okay. First person is IV, second person is you, third person is he, she, it, or a name. Next is portmanteau. Portmanteau are words joining two or more words to form a new word. Portmanteau is joining two or more words to form a new word. You have breakfast, right?
Yes.
I am combining breakfast and lunch. When you eat around like you combine, when you eat at 11 or something, you will combine breakfast and lunch. We make a new word called brunch.
Brunch.
Like in brunch. That is an example. Then there is smoke.
Smoke plus fog.
Fog.
Yeah, smoke plus, oh, sorry.
Fog.
Smoke plus fog makes a new word, smoke.
Smog.
When you combine two words and form a new word, it is called portmanteau word.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next is prologue. Prologue meaning, see, do you remember I explained in the last class? We have an epilogue. Epilogue is after the end of the story, some loose ends will be connected in one page or two. That is epilogue. Prologue, that happens before the story. Before the actual story happens, you will have a prologue where there will be an introduction of the characters, the setting. All these are introduced in the prologue.
Yes, ma'am.
We have prosody. Prosody is a study of meter. Prosody is the study of meter, intonation, rhythm, syntactical, linguistic, and phonetic elements in a poetry. See, poetry has all these different elements like phonetics, linguistics, syntax, rhyme, rhythm, intonation, meter. When you study all this, it is called prosody. Next is protagonist. Who is protagonist? Antagonist is the opposite character. Protagonist is the central figure. Yeah, leading character. Yeah, central figure. Next is pun. I'm skipping because I already taught protagonist in the last class. Pun is a play on words. When you play with words, it is called pun.
Yes, ma'am.
It has the word may have more or two or more meanings. I went to a bank. Here, the bank is a pun word. Why? Why is it a pun word? What is the meaning of bank? What is the meaning of bank? It can be a financial institution like SBI, Canara Bank. Yeah, it can also be a bank, river bank. Side of the river called bank. Okay, that is pun words. That a single word has different meanings.
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
so we finished. Okay, clear, no? We finished this chapter. Okay. Any doubts so far? I am going very slowly, no? Isn't it?
No, ma'am. You are going
Ma'am, your explanation is very good. We are able to understand everything.
Okay, but we have to finish it in like another 5 classes. We have to finish the entire book. It's okay. Once you finish the word, the rest will go very fast. These are certain movements or something. Yeah, I hope we can finish this. Okay, thank you for giving me another half an hour. We'll meet next week. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, bye.
Thank you,
See you in the
ma'am.
next
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.